Hey guys, I'm going to talk about the Rough Country dual premium stabilizers. You can see there's two pieces to it. Talk about how I installed it a little bit too. After I put on my shocks and springs, I felt a little bit of wandering on the highway, and it was just like 5 degrees or so on my steering wheel, but you know, somebody told me that this helps, so I went ahead and bought it. It's not too expensive, so it's worth a shot. It was like 120 bucks or something like that. So to install it, there's a couple brackets that you need to take off. One area is over here, right? On the stock one, you need to drop this. I think that's 21 millimeters. You need wrenches and sockets. For me, I use the wrench right there because anything else is hard to fit. I suppose if you jack your frame up, take off the wheel, you can get to it pretty easily. I didn't want to go through all that mess, so I just used a wrench. It took a little while, but I had a wrench that ratcheted, so pretty easy. When I took that off, it starts dropping down. You might have to hit it a little bit, but it starts dropping down. Highly suggest you have a jack on hand so that you can jack it back up whenever you're reinstalling it. The next point is down here, next to the pumpkin, there's a bracket. The original bracket is built into the steering stabilizer, the single one from the stock, and you can see that here there's a bracket that Rough Country provides you. And what it does is it extends it out a little bit further forward, so it's not just one, and now you can have two at equal lengths. So after you take that bracket off, and you take your, I think this is a drag link arm, if I'm not mistaken, right? After you take those off, it comes out. There was a bolt here that would have been there, and so you take all that out and you replace it with the Rough Country stuff. These use U-joints or U-bolts, these mounting brackets. Both sides is the same, and there's just 4. Leave them loose until you put on the stabilizers here and here. Same thing for both of them. Make sure you have the bolts in right. I'll give a little bit more of that too, but make sure you have the bolts in right, and then also the order is right too. It's important, because if you put, at first I had these shocks on the bottom side and I couldn't get anything in. Well, I could get it in, but then I couldn't tie anything up. I ended up repositioning them in because the instructions really don't do much good. So right behind the Rough Country logo is where the stabilizers need to be. Make sure you tighten it down. And then also remember, you jack that back up into it because it's pretty stiff with all that in already. Keep everything loose and then just slowly tighten everything up so that it holds it nice and tight. And it really stiffened things up on the highway. I like it a lot. But I also did control arm brackets, and I'll talk about that in my next video. All right. One from above so you can see how it looks. Okay. And then from below, so you can see how it looks. And there's the one U mounting point there. All right. And I mean, after you see this video and you match it up, it's pretty self-explanatory. I didn't have to drop anything really to do this. But after I lifted the car and put these on, this helped a lot as far as steering on the highway. I also installed a control arm bracket. I'll talk about that in a little while or on a next video. And after all that, my steering was a little off, and I'll tell you about this bad boy right here for the track arm. All right, so subscribe, and I'm going to get to those in a little bit.